All right, all right, all right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, John Walkup. Thank you for joining us today.
This is going to be a good one. No, I'm actually really looking forward to this one because
Me too.
this is like one of these corners of the market where it's kind of hard to get the information. You kind of want to know what's going on, but it's like sometimes you feel like it's just yourself. So I'm really glad we have
Yeah.
Sarah today.
Oh, thank
Yeah, and
you.
that's a good intro. Sarah,
Do you
thank you
say
for
that to
being
all
here.
your guests, John?
No,
Okay.
no,
No, I
no,
don't.
no. Yes, yes, we do. All right. Sarah Rotter, Brown Harris Stevens, running the open house analysis tracker for 3 years now. I believe you've been doing it.
Since July of 22. We're
Unbelievable.
almost at 4 years. Isn't that amazing?
It's
And
pretty
did you
cool.
did you take over from Fritz
Yes.
or?
So my former colleague, Fritz Freegan, used to track, open house traffic across the industry for quite some time. And then during COVID, for obvious reasons, things stopped.
Yeah.
So there was an appetite for it when open houses started to resume in person after like the COVID stuff, started to subside. So in the summer of 22, a lot of agents had asked that I resume it, and I did. And it was, it's been really fun, really telling. It's gained a lot in popularity, and I thank everybody that has participated over the years and continues to participate. And it's I think very valuable information.
Yeah, I look, we're all about transparency here. We're all about intelligence. John and I like to say all the time, the real AI is agent intelligence. This is another
That's right.
faction,
That
another
love
element,
that.
another tentacle of the agent intelligence beast. And let me just say one thing here. Look, sometimes, not all, this could be a thankless job. There's a lot of work that goes into compiling all of this that, sometimes goes outside of what your regular job roles are. I know how it is. We're helping agents all the time. So I just want to say thank you for
Oh,
doing what you're doing for the agent community because at the end of the day, yeah, we have to do it. We have to do it because who else is going to do it, right?
that's
And we
right.
got to be the best at what we got to, the best that we could be, like in this crazy market that we call New York City real estate. So thank you, Sarah Rada, for everything
Thank
that
you.
you do. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. Here's what's going to go on. I have a couple of questions that I'm going to ask Sarah right here. Sarah's going to show us this report, explain the report a little bit, and then at the end of the day, we have your questions that you submitted for Sarah that we'll do a Q&A speed round at the end, so to speak, right? So if you guys have any other
Feel
questions, you
like
can
I'm on a
feel free to
game
ask.
show.
It is a game show.
It is a game
That's what
show.
this is. Let's make a deal, baby. Let's
Let's
make a
do
deal.
it. Let's do
What was that
it.
guy? Monty? That wasn't Monty Python. Monty something, all right?
Monty
Monty
Hall.
Hall.
Monty Hall.
Monty Hall. I love it. All right. So,
Love it.
Sarah, could you explain the weekly open house survey, how it came to be, and how long
Sure.
you've been running it just quickly? I know you
Yeah,
started
yeah.
talking.
So like I mentioned, there was demand for it when in-person open house traffic started to pick up summer of 22. And really the reason why I think this is important for everyone here and everyone in our industry is because it gives us a real-time pulse on what's going on in the market in terms of demand. So we get contract activity, which is great, but this is to me the most telling and leading indicator of all. So if you don't mind just hanging here on this
Yep.
screen right there. So this is from 2 weeks ago. This is a sample report that we send out every Thursday at 11 a.m. And in the first part of the survey, first of all, we survey everyone at 4 o'clock on Sunday. They have until Wednesday to give their submissions for each of their open houses. And we literally, my assistant, Robin Kin, spends 4 hours every single Wednesday compiling this data. So he's really the one that gets the major thanks and kudos for this. And then we compile the report. So really in the first section here, you get the news first, right up front, what the average was for that week. And then what we do, if you want to scroll down a little bit, we just give sometimes a background of, what it was in years prior, and then the main highlights of the week. In this one, it was Brooklyn delivered, we talked about size. So anything that we see in the numbers, we highlight in the first section, where the most popular price points were, co-ops and condos, if you want to keep scrolling. And then what we do is we like to have people put their comments in. So we give like comments of the week. So that's something where you guys can tell us what you're seeing, and I love reading them because I get a real picture of what's happening in real time, because that's where we see, the activity. So if you want to keep scrolling just a tiny bit, that link right there goes, scroll up that black one. If you click
Yep.
there, that data will give you a summary of everything in that page going back to July of 22. So you can see on the tabs everything that we've summarized since the very beginning. So people tend to love that. Sometimes people export that information and do their own analysis. So then if you want to just scroll down, this is, the overall open house attendance. We always highlight the most trafficked open house of the week. Then we also give the averages in condition, and then how first open houses versus regular open houses did. And we'll talk to a little bit more about that. And then we have these graphs to illustrate what this data is. So this will tell you how many open houses had 0 visits, had 1 party, had 2, had 3 or 4 or more. So this is really important information that you can share with your clients, because if, let's say, you had 1 person in your neighborhood, in your price point, you can share this data and say, hey, look, we only had 1, but all the others in this category had the same. Or conversely, you can also say, look, everybody had 2 or 3, we only had 1, something's off. So that's important information. And if you don't mind just flipping back to the
email?
email, is that okay?
The email, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
Good.
So yeah, so if you want to go down a little, then the next one is the section that is the latest one. We'll talk about this in a bit, but percentage of unrepresented buyers, we've just recently started to track, and that's very interesting information. We can keep going down. Then we have open house by type. So is it by appointment, public? That's a popular topic. We'll talk about that in a second. Next one, and if you want to flip to your graphs, it's up to you.
Okay, I'm going to go
So
back and forth here.
Yes,
All right, so hold on.
so
So
sorry.
we're at
By
open house time of the day.
time of day, what is most popular time wise, but also what gets the most traffic? Next. Size, what we're seeing in terms of how many units are in the market in terms of showing studio to townhouses, and what the visitation is like for those. Then by borough, we track the boroughs. Manhattan is always most popular. Price ranges we track. And then
day of the week.
time of week, it's always during the week. We usually don't get much of a weekday report, but we always track it. So those are the main highlights of categories of what we track. And we give the averages of what has performed in each category.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot of work. It's a lot of
It's a
work.
lot
And
of
it's more
work.
talking points, and any kind of ammunition that we can give to these fighters out here in the battlefield, I think is just helpful. And you guys got to figure out how to incorporate this into your flow and into your conversations.
Yeah.
You never know when it might help. John, you have a
Yeah, I just a quick housekeeping note, Sarah. The question is, how do you subscribe to this? If you described it in the
Thank
beginning,
you.
may have
Thanks
missed
for
it, but
asking. Yeah. So
yeah.
please, I put in the chat the address you can email to. So it's openhouseindex@bhsusa.com. You don't have to work at Brown Harris. This is for everyone. Don't worry. I'm not soliciting you. I'm not trying to recruit you. We'd love to have you, but that's not why we're doing this. This is really information of value that all of our agents love, and your participation helps. So all I ask is, if you subscribe to receive the report, please participate as well, because the more people we have, the better quality of data. And you guys know that better than anyone else, right, Noah and John?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and if you do participate, thank you so much for participating. Please help Sarah. Tell some agents, hey, you should participate
Yes.
in this too. Spread the word a little. Just like you guys have a network and you want that network to tell their friends and family about you, same thing here. Tell other agents about this. The more information you get to Sarah, the better information she can give back to us, and that's what we're all in this for, right? So
Yes,
good stuff.
100%.
Um,
So I
John, is there
just put
another
it in
question?
again. I put the email address again, and my assistant knows to email and subscribe you guys.
Okay. John, is there another question there, I think, or is that no?
Yeah, well, we have a bunch of questions. We also have a bunch of questions from the pre-registration, so I don't want to derail things. I think
Okay.
we'll have time to get to Q&A
We'll
later,
stay
but
on track.
Oh,
there you
okay.
go.
So
Stay on
Sarah, let's
target.
I'm fine either way.
we're gonna go over the questions that we discussed, Sarah, and then we're
Okay.
gonna pivot
Pivot.
pivot to the Q&A. Sarah, when you look back across the full history of your survey, now over 120 weeks, what are the most consistent themes that agents should trust when making pricing and positioning decisions?
So, what I always say in the first 10 days, if not less, of your listing launch is called your critical period. You can look at, you guys know this better than anyone, but even Street Easy data, any data that tracks traffic always shows the biggest amount of views within the first few days. So we see that in our open house reports that the first open houses have the most traffic of all, sometimes 4 times as much. So you want to get the most eyes and most attention on your listing. I know it sounds obvious, but the numbers show that. So when you're having your pricing conversations with your owners, show them those graphs, show them that data, show them UrbanDigs data. That is really the key, because the numbers don't lie. A lot of owners say, "Oh, well, let's try it and then we can always reduce it later." But later, less eyes and less demand for the new. That's what we're seeing. People want to see the new, the new, the new.
Yeah, I mean, the first 14 days is your urgency period. And if
Yeah.
that seller decides to test the market or be aspirational, how the heck are we supposed to create an urgent situation? We're going to be lowering the price on day 30, 60, 90, and by then the market's already seen the place. You're in the hope and pray phase.
For sure.
Great point. You track first weekend performance versus ongoing listings. What does your data consistently show about launch strategy and early momentum?
Yeah, like I said, it's the most important time frame, so anytime you're preparing your listing, your marketing assets, everything should be primed for that first launch, and know to expect that you're going to get a lot more traffic at your open house and at your listing in the very beginning. And just to prepare for that, prepare your clients for that. And if you don't, that is the most telling sign that you're probably overpriced or a little aspirational in your number.
Yeah, Sarah, John and I like to say that the market does what the market wants when the market wants to do it, so to speak. It's another way of saying is that it's the market's decision how it's going to react to your property.
Yeah,
And if you're not going to get what you want, it's either a market problem, a product problem, or a price problem, right? Those are the three kind of problems you have. And out of all those problems, price is the only element that we can actually control. So again, guys, listen to what the market is telling you. We don't control that. It's the bids, it's the buyers that tell you everything. Listen to
absolutely.
what they're saying.
Yeah.
Um,
Little secret.
little secret. Sarah, your data compares public open houses versus by appointment only. What patterns have emerged, and how should agents think about access strategy when launching a listing?
Okay, so this sometimes gets a little controversial
Uh-oh.
because I always stress show up to your appointments, to your open houses if you want people to show up. Now, there are buildings that don't allow public open houses. That's fine. There are certain properties that don't really call for public open houses because of valuables, because of the size, whatever it is. That is totally understandable. That's like the disclaimer I'll say. But what I will say is that when you are physically there, people are more likely to show up versus having to call. When there's a list of open houses and there's the one that you have to make the appointment for, you're going to the path of least resistance, right? Seeing what you can see without having to make an appointment and make an extra step. So that's my biggest piece of advice today is we see sometimes almost 2 times the amount of traffic when it's listed publicly. Now, again, it always varies on pricing. Weather conditions also play into that, as we all know. But general rule of thumb, if you can be there, also is great for your clients when you're physically present and they see that you're actually hosting your own open houses. And then again, the traffic is telling or not. If you have other things to do with other buyers, have somebody else in your office do the open house for you. Just have someone present. That's really my biggest piece of advice because the data supports it. And it's just common sense, I think.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, don't agents like try to recycle those buyers and get a couple clients out of it
Of
over the
course.
course of a
And
listing?
that actually, to your point, actually, I think that's one of the next questions.
Oh,
It is the
I'm
next.
sorry.
You did your
What?
perfect segue,
Yeah,
Noah.
I didn't mean to. I thought I messed something up. All right, well, let's get to the next question, Sarah. One unique and newer aspect of your survey is tracking unrepresented buyers. I should have seen that. At open houses. What prompted you to start surveying in this category, and what trends are you seeing there?
Yeah, so I listen to everybody, what everyone tells me. And one of my top agents said to me, you know what, Sarah, I'm noticing a lot more direct buyers coming into my open house or open houses. And he has listings, he's a very listing heavy agent, and he has listings all over the city. So that to me, like, raised, like a big light bulb. And I said, you know what? I want to start tracking this. And I thought I would do it for 1 week. And now I want to keep doing it every week because what we're seeing in the numbers is that the majority of people that are showing up are not represented by brokers. So why this is what I think. I think that some buyers are frustrated by the Street Easy expert program where they're kind of forced to work with
No.
somebody. So they are starting to go around and try to get to the open house directly, especially if it's by appointment. It's easier to do that. And they may elect to, be represented as they should if they want to. But I think with buyer broker agreements and the Street Easy experts, maybe there are a little more hurdles that people are trying to work around. But what does this mean for listing agents? This means that you have the opportunity to meet buyers that may not like your listing that you can show other things to. So you can connect and get back to, the bread and butter of our business.
Yeah. John, did
Yeah.
you say no with the whole Street Easy thing there?
I'm just surprised. So I do like to attend open houses from time to time. And, I didn't go to any this Sunday because of the blizzard.
Yes.
But one of the things I've seen buyers going to the open house and meeting the broker for the very
Yeah.
first time, like downstairs outside. And it's always just an awkward situation. Like, are you
Yes.
here for this? Yeah, I'm here. Oh, okay, nice to meet you. Let's go. It's kind of like
Yeah.
so I can
There are
understand how
some
people
agents
tire of
who
that.
are not transparent about the fact that they are not the listing agent. So we always tell our agents who are part of the experts program, be transparent. So it's not this like awkward, who are you? Who's this? That's the
Right.
exact opposite of what
Yeah.
agency disclosure is all about. So yeah, it's an interesting, it's becoming a
You heard it
lot
here
more
first,
common.
people. Sarah
Yeah.
Rodder breaking the news.
Listen, we work with Street Easy. All of us do,
Mhm.
a lot of us do, but it's, there's two sides to it that some people feel very frustrated by it, and some people feel that it's a good thing. I'm just going to be Switzerland on that on this call. We're talking about open house data, but either way, I think the major take home here is show up to your listings publicly and you'll have a lot of opportunity for more traffic, better prices, and hopefully to meet buyers to work with them.
Yeah. Sarah, finally, this is the last one of our questions. Guys, you could write down questions for Sarah right now also. We have another batch of questions from registrations, but for now, Sarah, finally, what would you say to agents about why contributing to the survey matters and how strong participation improves the value of this data for the entire brokerage community?
Yeah, so like the more data we have, the better the data is going to be. We'll be able to track trends. So if I see that we have, and we haven't yet, but if we get to numbers on a weekly basis where it's not enough, I won't have my assistant spend 4 hours because it's not good enough data. So the more the merrier. So I put the email to subscribe if you guys want. Like I said, please participate. If you want to also receive, you can receive. You don't have to participate, but we'd love you to, and just ask your colleagues. Noah, do you want me to just go into like just a couple of very minor, like not minor, but just a few tips that I'd love to share,
Yeah,
data
go ahead.
points? Okay.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if we had time for that. So
of
just
course.
generally speaking, most popular time for traffic and in general is 12 to 2 on Sundays. As I'd mentioned, open house publicly versus by appointment. Public is the way to go. Generally speaking, what I've noticed is that larger apartments and townhouses have been very popular for the last couple of months. But since the beginning of the year, the thing that I'm really excited about is that I'm seeing studio traffic increase, which makes me feel very happy, right? Because that was very flat
Yeah.
and very sleepy for a long
I
time.
mean, rates going down maybe is something.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I was going
Okay.
to say. I think it's really tied to rates. Generally speaking, the most popular borough in terms of traffic is Brooklyn,
Mm.
consistently, but it's also all about pricing. We had, I think, 38 people in a Tribeca open house a couple weeks ago. So it just depends on, like, neighborhoods are really more tied to big showings in, let's say, one listing. That's why the more the merrier. But overall, borough wise, Brooklyn tends to be the most popular, but we get the most results in terms of Manhattan numbers. Condition wise, another interesting point. Noah and John, you guys showed us during COVID this incredible data, chart showing renovated versus unrenovated, the popularity, right? Because of
Yeah.
pricing and time frame to renovate. We use that so often and we still do.
Cool.
So thank you guys for that. But what I'm seeing now is condition for properties that need work are becoming more popular again. So that's an
Mm.
interesting thing to see. I'm seeing that buyers are taking advantage of opportunities because maybe prices are getting competitive and inventory is starting to become a talking point. There's not that much on. So when there's not
Yeah.
that much on and there's more demand, people start searching elsewhere. So
Mm.
that's that. And then just last but not least, in terms of pricing, the 1 to 3 million is generally our bread and butter, but we were seeing the higher price points, especially last year, doing very, very well. But now we're starting to see lower price points start to increase, like the 500,000 and below. We're starting to see more demand and traffic. Again, Noah, to your point, rates, but just overall, in general, like from my report, if you see like a number between 1.5, 2.5, that's typical around now. But the spring should be around 2.5 and above. Summer tends to be pretty flat, 1.5 and less makes sense. People tend to leave. And then the fall is usually about 1.5 to 2.5. So I just wanted to give you guys a
Mm.
sense, like, what's a good number, what's not, because 2 seems so low, but it's actually a pretty good number, believe it or not, when you're surveying such a large data set.
Yeah, it
Right.
does seem low to me, but then I'm thinking about the data set that you're talking about here. And let's not forget, like it's been a kind of a challenging couple of years. Like it's been
It
tough
has.
since that post-pandemic high that we went through that wasn't really a real market, so to speak. It's been tough out there. John, you have a thought there?
Well, no, especially because you talk about the data set, you look across and the average might be 2, but again, you might have some that have like 15, right? So that the range
Right.
is pretty wide. You're going to have a lot clustering on the smaller side, which is going to bring down the average. But again, to your point, Sarah, if something is priced right and you strike that urgency, it's most likely going to be crowded from that first open house onward. So That
Sure.
really is the key here. I would love to like dig into that and try to like reverse
Yeah,
engineer like how can you tell your price is right by open house attendance kind of thing. Generally speaking,
I
if you have more than X, you know you got it.
Yeah, I think if it's more than five, you're doing very, very well pricing wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean urgency, right? That's the biggest thing. Has anyone ever like did one of those listing scenarios where it's like, all right, they put it on the market on a Tuesday or a Monday, and they go first showing at Sunday's open house, so to speak. So they stop
Yeah.
everyone, and then they do a 12 to 1 o'clock open house, a 1 hour
Oh,
open house on Sunday, and then they pack everybody in there. Do people want to do that kind of thing just to create a
sometimes
little
people do
urgency?
do that. Yes, sometimes a
Yeah.
lot of people do that. It's just the only thing is I sold my house during COVID when it was crazy and I had, having that frenzy is a good thing, but it's also you can't have a quality showing of the property when it's too chaotic. So I think you
Yeah,
have to strike a good balance between the two. Maybe you have multiple people helping you so that way you're not completely overwhelmed and you don't have people wandering all over the property, which isn't
right.
good for your client.
Yeah,
Right.
interesting.
That
Now,
actually ties into a question that we just got, like about how, holding public open houses is great, but sometimes the buildings don't want people congregating in the lobby, going up the
Sure.
elevators, et cetera.
yeah.
Any thoughts on that in terms of,
Yeah,
building
so that
policies versus open houses?
again, you have to look at the policies in the building, and if you're thinking that you're going to have a good amount of showings, recruit people from your office to help, um, escort people through from the lobby to the elevator. If you need three people to hold people in the lobby, go to the elevator and the apartment, as many people as you need to make that happen. But that's usually your first open house. Subsequent open houses, the numbers even show it. They're usually not that crazy. So you can usually do it yourself or with a shower.
Okay. We're gonna do speed round.
Let's do it.
I don't
Here
know
we
if I don't
go.
know if you're familiar with speed round. The goal is 60-second or less answers. If this is outside your lane, you can just say I don't know. All right, don't
Pass.
don't feel shy. Yeah,
Pass,
yeah.
pass.
Phone a
Call
friend.
a
Yeah, whatever you
friend.
want to do.
John.
Lifelines. That's right. I'll
Okay.
try. I'll try.
Do open house patterns still meaningfully predict market outcomes?
I think so, yeah. I think they're a leading indicator of what's going on in the market because I don't think you have as many looky-loos as we used to have. I don't think but I really do think it is a good indicator of what the market will bear in the
Yeah,
future.
a great indicator of how your pricing went too. I mean, if your open
Yes,
houses are dead for the first couple open houses, the market is clearly
you
telling you
know,
something. So listen to what the market's saying.
that's
Okay.
right.
How has buyer behavior changed in response to interest rates and broader economic conditions?
Yeah, I'm seeing an uptick in traffic. I also read the comments section and thanks for that question because what I've seen consistently over the past couple of weeks, even at the end of last year, people are saying, "Oh, I had this listing that had no traffic, no inquiries. All of a sudden there's this renewed sense of desire for my listing." So that to me is very telling that there's more demand than we've seen in a little while in terms of buyers across all the price points.
Okay. What is your outlook for this upcoming New York City spring market? Just to put you on the
What
hot
what
seat.
I think it is going to be, what I'm seeing so far is inventory. That there's not a lot, there's more demand than there is inventory. So I say this all the time in markets like this. Don't hide your inventory. Put it out, do right by your clients, and get as many eyes on it as possible to get the highest price for your client. That's what it's all about. I was just on a call with one of our directors in New Jersey. They had a listing, open house, that 80 people showed up to. It was listed at 570 something and went for 750. The only way you're going to get results like that in a tight inventory market, and we know this from all of our outside regions, is that you get higher price points. So it's not the time to go private. Sorry, I'm just
Interesting.
saying.
Yeah, you go public and let the market do. The
Public
market does
all
what the
the
market
way.
wants. Let the market work.
Yes.
Um, Over the past 3 years, what open house pattern most consistently would predict a property successfully going into contract within 30 days?
Price. It's all about the pricing,
It's as simple as
that's
that.
what you said, Noah, right?
Yeah.
It's all about pricing right. And when you price listings, don't price it comparing to what's on the market. See what's gone into contract. That's the most telling data point, in my opinion, because it's showing the most recent desirability for that like property. Do you guys
Yeah.
agree with that?
Well,
I do agree with it. And I think that there's what's behind that is the fact that when you have buyers out in the market, especially in a low inventory environment, they typically know a lot more about this market and this unit than honestly the seller does because they've seen everything and they bring that knowledge to this unit. So they are ready to go. And I think a lot of sellers and sometimes the agents representing that seller kind of tend to forget that how really well informed and in tune and in sync with the market buyers are. So if you're in tune
Brilliant
with that,
point.
fantastic. You get that 570 going over to 700. That's fantastic. You get that competition working. If not, it's just crickets.
It's
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I would just add overweight your building pricing conclusions. Like if you do an analysis outside the area and you do an analysis in the building, just know that every building is its own little tiny marketplace. And if you step out of the
100%.
building, a lot of different variables are getting into play, building to building. I mean, you can have two buildings right next to each other and they're trading completely differently. That's what I'm talking about. It's a vertical market thing. It's what makes our market so mysterious. It's what allows us to have these jobs, right? To be advisor.
It's so true. Appraisal companies do the same exact thing. They weight, the comps in the building much, much more heavily than anything
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
If I
Go
could
ahead,
just
John.
follow that up because I think that's really interesting because I think when we talk about open houses we're almost bringing in the concept of, for lack of a better word, something that's really exists out in the suburbs, curb appeal, because
Mhm.
this is sometimes the first opportunity the buyer is going to have with the building. And sometimes if you have a building that's staffed, if you have doorman staff, concierge, whatever, their interactions with them can sort of color their interactions with the building as well. So if you have someone who's really surly at the door that day, they might be like, I don't want to deal with this. And I'm going to sneak a question in here. I know it's speed round, but this is an interesting question. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head. So do you have any advice to agents do you guys prep the building staff at all ahead of an open house? Like what sort of courtesy do you extend the building staff, like letting them know in advance, etc.?
Well, there are some buildings where you actually have to notify the building and get a time slot, approved. I always think it's great to come early. You obviously want to prep your listing, but you should be courteous to the doormen. They're the best. They're the gatekeepers. Everything, so
Yeah.
bring them coffee, bring them
Coffee,
treats,
donuts.
Levine cookies, whatever it is that you think that they would like, engage them because they'll help you a lot of times. When I was an agent, the doorman used to help me and I loved it.
Yeah. I have a question here as well that's in the webinar chat. Guys, by the way, this last call to send questions for Sarah. Okay. Send those over. This is not necessarily an open house question, but it could be. And I love this question because it's something that we're all thinking at the same time. Um, how to gain clients as a new realtor. Now, she's a new realtor. Could you give me some tips how to gain clients? But we're all trying to gain clients. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I have thoughts. I'm sure John has thoughts. But Sarah, let's start with you.
Yeah.
How do I get new business? What do I do?
How to get new clients in general, how to get new clients. Well, I mean, there are so many different ways to do that, but we're in the people business, right? So I always say the three things that you have to know, it's like my trinity of real estate is product knowledge, technical knowledge, and people. So if you're new to the business, you need to know the product, get out there, look all the time. That's how I learned product in Manhattan, through open houses. Sunday, like 10 to 4, I was out. Talk about steps. I wish I tracked them then 20 something years ago. But you have to know the inventory. And then that way, when you see people and if you know your business, if you're being proactive about learning your craft, when you meet people, you can connect the dots. How do you meet people? Do things that you enjoy, where it could be a charity, it could be a running club, a cooking class, whatever it is. Get in front of as many people as possible and also offer to help your colleagues in your office. And that way,
Totally.
offer to host their open houses
Yes.
publicly.
No,
Bingo.
it's as simple as, I mean, I was waiting just for an opportunity to say, just go into your office and find someone that's got a lot of listings
Yeah.
and try, be hungry, guys. Be hungry that you want to get this. Like you're a hard worker, you want to learn. Find a mentor, get yourself out there, run these open houses, ask questions, absorb the answers like a sponge. Okay, learn the market, product knowledge, and if you don't have it going on in your own little business, connect yourself or hang out with the people that do have it going on. That's the best thing you can do.
Amen. Amen. And the thing that I've always said, is like I love the expression do unto others as you would want done to you. Like be the agent that you would want someone to be for you. Really listen. Don't have commission breath and think it's all about the money. That
Yeah.
comes later. Do a good job and then the dividends pay off in the end. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's a paid internship or an unpaid internship, but you're learning while you're doing, and you're amassing all of this knowledge that you will be able to use and cash in on when the time is right, when you have the right client for it.
Yeah, and in terms of being a good advisor, listen, New Yorkers can sniff out bullshit like in a heartbeat. Like, I'm sorry to
Mm.
curse or anything. It was a real, this
Nice.
is a
No,
family
As
show,
totally.
but
So
they
right.
could sniff it out. And if you're just bullshitting them and you're coming up with an answer because you feel obligated to answer something, they're gonna sense that salesman in you, and it's gonna ruin the whole thing. You just
Totally.
stick to being an advisor and talk about what the market's doing. Um, is the percentage of unrepresented buyers higher in Manhattan than Brooklyn?
Oh, you know what? I don't know. We haven't tracked that. That's such a good question. I'll see if there's a way that we can look at that.
Oh,
That's
okay.
great. Thank you for
Okay.
That's
that.
a good
We
idea.
don't get we don't get a ton of entries on that. We'll get like 25, 30 agents out of let's say 75 that respond. So, but I'll look at that this week. Thanks for that
Okay.
question. And if you guys have other data points that you want me to measure, if we can measure it, we'd love to.
Okay, this is a user question, so thank you, the user right there that put that in there. Just a couple of more. When attendance is low, are the open house findings still statistically meaningful?
In what sense?
I don't. I'm just reading the
Can
question
you
off
read
here.
it again?
When attendance is low, are open house findings still statistically meaningful? I mean, I would say yes, because I mean, even if something is put, here's an analogy. If something's active on the market and doesn't sell, goes off market, is that meaningful? And I would say yes, because
Yeah,
it tells you a price that this guy tried and failed
and
to
it didn't
sell
work.
at. And if you have a property that's similar or in the same line and they're thinking about pricing, you could go say, hey, well, this guy 2 floors higher in a better condition tried at 3 million for 3 months and he failed, they went off market. So like in that sense, I think all information is
I
useful.
agree. I agree. Yeah, I think I need a little more clarity on that question.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's.
Um, that's all I got really. I mean, all the other
Oh,
questions
okay,
here.
cool.
Wait, one more. What are buyers or what information do you have that buyers are saying about potential property tax increases? The talk of that property tax increase.
Oh, what information do I have on that?
It's
Can
just
you read
asking
it?
what are buyers saying about potential property tax increases?
Oh, I mean, that I'm not tracking that in this report and I'm not getting any comments on it. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, I think as agents, we just have to educate our clients because, as we know, this isn't a decision that the mayor can make. This comes from the state. So, and Hochul is basically shutting it down. So I think it's at this point a TBD,
Okay.
what's going to happen. But either way, if property, taxes increase, it will potentially affect pricing. So we'll just have to see how it works out. But as of now, I don't think it's something to entertain. It's to be determined.
More of a headline risk, more of like a fear headline
Exactly.
risk
Yeah.
to
A
quell it.
100%.
Okay.
Quick one from
Um,
the Q&A. What is the best day to post the open house?
ooh, I like
Oh,
that.
okay. I don't think it really makes much of a difference, but the earlier the better, for sure, because people can plan that way. Some people put their open houses on a Friday or a Saturday. I don't think that's the best idea. Do it as early as so if it's on a Tuesday for the next Sunday, go for it.
Okay. And it looks like the last question here is you said there are three things to get clients, product, tech, and people. Was it product tech and
No,
people?
so basically just the three things to focus your time on all the time in real estate is product knowledge, technical knowledge. So
Oh,
knowledge
okay.
of the business and people. Those are the three things that you should, no matter what, when, where you are in your tenure of real estate, you could be a all of my top agents go to look at the new buildings for sale or any new listing that's in their general wheelhouse. They're always staying on top of inventory so that always pursue topics that you don't know about to become that much more of a well-rounded agent, but get yourselves out there on every level where you're vibrating at the best frequency and most positive frequency to attract people.
I love the whole
Yeah.
frequency.
I
And
got
by
I got
technical, oh, one second, John. And the
yeah.
technical knowledge, would you just describe that as like just knowing like
Yeah,
what?
any topic you don't know about it. Okay, I just saw a class on commercial real estate. I know nothing about commercial. Okay, 1031 exchanges. Whatever
Okay,
it is that you don't know about, if you see a class, a topic, go for it. That's what I always did. Like for me, I'm a control freak. I need to know everything because I've wanted to guide my clients the best possible. So I went to every single class possible and looked at every property possible, and it helped.
gotcha.
Yeah. Got one more sneaking under the wire here. We've talked about open houses in terms of buyers and sellers. I'm wondering if you can talk about how broker open houses are faring and
Oh,
any thoughts on those.
yeah, so we don't really get a lot of entries for broker open houses, even though we do track it. It's the last one for weekday open houses. Some of them do very well. Always advise doing them either during lunchtime, serve food, or in the evening in the summer. So summertime, do evenings for those who are going to be away or busy. But broker open houses, generally speaking, do them lunchtime, serve food, and if not, evening, serve food and drinks. That's the best way to get. You serve food, people show
Just give
up.
them food. Just give
Yeah.
That's
them
it.
food or
Feed them.
booze.
Feed
Food
them.
Feed
or
them.
booze. It's like a win-win. Food or booze.
Yes,
Food and
totally.
booze, and now you're at a whole new level.
But
You know
these
what I'm saying?
days, mocktails are essential as well. People love it.
Mocktails. This has been great. Listen, guys, Sarah Rotter, you were awesome today. Thank you
Oh,
so
ditto.
much.
Thank
Open
you.
House Index at bhsusa.com. That is how you get on the list. But guys, there's nothing stopping you from typing Sarah Rotter in an email in Google and
Abs
emailing Sarah and saying
yes.
thank you for your time, thank you for sharing. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll somehow indirectly or directly work together in some capacity. This is a relationship business, and relationships with our experts, with our managers, with our colleagues are just as important as our relationships with our clients.
100%. You have a
Treat it
friend
that
of
way.
Brown Harris. If you need anything, I'm here. I put my email in the
There it
chat.
is.
And
Thank
if you
you.
guys need anything, let me know. Noah and John, you guys are the best. Thanks for all
Thanks,
you
Sarah.
guys do. We all love you. Our agents are obsessed with you with good reason,
Oh,
as are all of the executives at Brown Harris. So thanks for what you do for our industry. And
thank you
thanks for
very much.
having me.
I'm
Of
honored to
course.
have
It's
you.
great.
Thank you and
Oh,
for everything you
ditto.
do. Thank you to John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. This has been a live workshop with Sarah Rotter, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Love you
Cheers,
all.
everybody.
Thanks. Bye,
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Scotty. Oh, that's so sweet. Thanks. Of what